The foundation of our practice, of course, is Zazen. It's mindful meditation, being in the present moment, instant after instant. But sometimes we wonder, is this of any benefit? Is my sitting here hour after hour, year after year, decade after decade in some cases, is that really of worthwhile? Is that something that really is accomplishing what I want it to accomplish? And I think it's worth talking about karma from this perspective. Karma, or in Pali, kama. Karma is the Buddhist teaching about cause and effect. Karma literally means action. So when we're sitting down, we're coming to the zendo, we're sitting down, we're taking our place of zazen, we're turning our mind to our breath. It's intentional, volitional action, over and over and over again. And the basic rule of life is every action has an effect. That's basically karma. Every action has an effect. Every circumstance has a cause. That foundation means that everything that our mind turns towards, if our mind turns towards greed, if our mind turns toward anger and irritability, if our mind turns toward aversion, if our mind turns toward equanimity or loving kindness, whatever our mind turns toward has some effect. This effect is, of course, most profound right here. It's really about what kind of person we become, what kind of character is cultivated in us. So karma, the intention, whatever we intentionally attend to, whatever we intentionally turn our mind toward, is, as Thich Nhat Hanh calls it, waters the seeds. And as we water particular seeds, and as they grow with mindful attention, with that continual volition, our character, our emotional life, our mental processes are all affected. So when we come to sit, and we sit down, and we turn our mind away from greed, from anger, from ignorance, we turn our mind away from all the swirling problems, and we turn our mind toward this moment right here. We open our heart to loving kindness, and we do that over and over again. Gradually, we become different people. It's not to say our character, I mean, we have a basic DNA profile. We have some basic biological constraints. But in that biological system, certain things, certain aspects, certain parts of us come forth. We all have this montage of many, many, many different parts and energies. So the more skillful we turn toward, the more we turn our actions toward things that are skillful, that lead to harmony, that lead to wisdom, that lead to wholeness, that lead to equanimity, that lead to loving kindness, that lead to sympathetic joy, that lead to compassion. The more skillfully we do that, and the more frequently we do that, in a way, from a character perspective, the better person we become. And of course, the opposite is also true. If we feed anger, we feed hatred, we become more angry, more hateful. So the general principle is of, if we sow something that's skillful, we're going to reap something that's skillful. The classic Buddhist phrase is, as you sow, so shall you reap. I think the Christians use that too. Buddha, and probably the ancient Indian traditions also use that for. It's just a basic principle. Now there is a big difference between skillful outcome and social preference. People often get this mixed up. So social preference is, well, I would prefer to be rich rather than poor. I'd prefer to be in really good shape. I would prefer to have, food brought to me. I would prefer to have all the stoplights turn green as I approach them. Social preferences are those things that as a society, as a culture, as individuals, we just prefer, with the laws that we make. There's nothing inherently natural about stopping for red lights. It's just an agreed upon, we stop for red lights. There's nothing inherently natural about zoning laws. We just have made lots of zoning laws, which I've been struggling with. Those are just simply social preferences, things that our particular society, the mores of our particular society. There's no ultimate preference for medical insurance. It's a preference we all have. But the natural world does not necessarily come with fruits of medical insurance. So oftentimes when we hear this phrase, as you sow shall you reap, the seeds you sow, if you sow seeds of watermelons, you get watermelons. If you sow good seeds, you get good results. As we hear those kind of phrases, we often mix up the beginning with our social preference. And we think, as you sow watermelons, you get rich. As you sow kindness, then all the stoplights turn green. So people who hear this teachings about karma and then start thinking, well, I see this person really acts cruelly or is full of greed, and they seem to be doing pretty well, and I'm not doing well. And they start thinking, well, maybe karma isn't the case. It may be that there's a direct relationship between greed and getting wealthy. But there's no direct relationship between greed and being a kind person, or greed and being happy, or greed and having equanimity. On the other hand, there is a direct relationship between cultivating compassion and generosity and happiness, satisfaction. But there's no direct relationship between it and money. So it's important when we look at the issue of karma, we have to separate out our particular social preference from the natural law of karma. Natural law of karma is like gravity. It's a natural law. Or inertia, conservation of energy. Now, the other aspect of karma that's really important is, okay, so we do something really good. We are kind. We are generous. We turn our mind towards helping others, compassion. Well, just as with seeds, if a good seed is thrown on infertile soil, or a good seed is thrown on fertile soil but is not watered, or is in the sun, in the dark, it doesn't grow. So in terms of karma, it's not just that we do particular good acts, but those acts have to be watered, have to be taken care of, have to be tended. And it's not as though we do, one day we're really generous to people and we're really kind, and we think, oh, that should be worth a lot of good merit. A lot of people will like me because of that. But it has to happen over and over again. We can't say, okay, I'm going to turn my mind toward equanimity. I'm going to come to the zendo. I'm going to calm myself. I'm going to turn my mind to the present moment. And then the bell rings and we're off, back into the future, worrying, full of anxiety, thinking that, oh, I came and I sat for a half an hour. That should last me the rest of the day. It doesn't work like that.